I was just always that little girl that just kept watching it on TV and just wishing that she was there because she knew that she could beat those girls, and I was finally there. So
we can endure anything and adapt and pivot and change. Wrestling gave us that ability.
I would say nothing in life has impacted me more than the things wrestling has taught me in terms of self-reflection, resilience.
Toughness. Some guys have it, some guys don't.
Adversity, 100%. How to pick myself up and be a man after I failed.
And everything that has shaped my life and where I'm at today would not be there without the values and basically the lessons I've learned through the sport of wrestling.
For me, wrestling saved my life because it allowed me to focus and channel my energy.
We're fortunate if you wrestle, because if you wrestle, natural talent helps, but it's 5% of the ingredient. It pales in comparison to heart and technique and effort.
It humbled me, taught me humility. Nothing can humble you more than wrestling. I think it's the learning to adapt, right? You learn how to adapt, you learn how to solve problems.
You know, if I look back at my time I spent wrestling, if it gave me one thing more than anything else, it's mental toughness.
Welcome back to the Wrestling Changed My Life podcast presented by Spartan Combat. This is Ryan Warner, your host, coming to you from a beautiful Monday morning here in Chicago, IL. Our guest today is the great Kennedy Blades. She's 17 years old, a junior in high school, and she took second at the Olympic trials just 2 weeks ago, putting on an incredible performance. For those of you who don't know Kennedy, she's from Chicago, wrestles for Wyoming Seminary. She's a 3-time Fargo champ, a 2019 Cadet World Team member. She was the first girl ever to win an Illinois Kids Wrestling Federation middle school state title. She is the future of women's wrestling, and I'm so excited to have her on the show. Fan of the week goes to the Hollywood Hooligans out in Hollywood, Florida. Special shout out to my man, Emmanuel Celestine, a.k.a. Mano. I guess he's super, super deep into the sport, and wish you guys nothing but the best out there in Florida. And that's it, folks. Let's get to the interview with the great Kennedy Blades. Hey guys, this episode, as well as every episode, is brought to you by Spartan Combat. They're hosting a national tournament in Jacksonville, Florida, May 20th through the 23rd. All styles will be competing. Check it out now at SpartanCombat.com. I am very excited for this conversation. Everyone who listens to this show knows I'm a diehard Illinois fan. Now, I know you wrestle for Wyoming Sem, but you're born and raised in the IKWF circles, as they say. The crazy thing to me is that in 2016, Tamara Menchastock won the Olympic trials, and you wrestled her last weekend. In 2016, for you, though, you became the first IKWF women's champ ever. And so talk about your early days in the IKWF circle and how you got involved with Martinez Fox Valley.
Well, I've been with Coach Jose, with the Martinez family for a very long time, I think since I was like 9. And I also had great partners, and everyone was always going hard and super dedicated to the sport. So I think like that, just that of being in that environment was like exactly what I needed, and is what got me here. And I only wrestled boys, and we grew up in just guys teams, so it was always me and my sister. I'm glad I had her along the side too, because sometimes, like, I don't know, I just didn't want to be the only girl. But yeah, so it was a great experience. One of the things that we did was whenever there was a tournament, my dad would bump me up to the older division, and like there was no excuses, like just because I'm a girl or anything. We never made excuses for wrestling. So I think that's what also got me super far. And yeah, just those IKWF years, like that was really fun, and I do miss all the like state duels and just the state series, like regional sectionals and state, and all the elite tournaments like the Celtic Elite and the Midwest Classic and the Joltho. Like I miss all of those. But yeah, it was really fun, I think.
Those are great tournaments. And so, wait, so your dad would bump you up and still wrestle in the boys division, or only when you're in the girls division?
Yeah, I only in the boys division. I never went girls division. So like when I was a novice, my dad bumped me up to seniors, or when I was an intermediate, then I would go to novice. So yeah.
That's crazy. So were you working with Jose and Nathan a lot at the early stages?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Coach Jose and Coach Nate like were together, and like they would switch off for practices. So like Coach Nate would do more like the funky stuff, and then Coach Jose would be like the old school, like just super technical. So it was really nice to have both of those. So yeah.
Do they still have that facility at Sheridan, or they have the old school that they converted?
I think I'm not sure. I think they do still have Sheridan, which is really cool. I know Coach Jose retired. And Coach Nate I think has NWO now, which is his own club. I think they do practice at Sheridan though, but I miss Sheridan too. That was fun.
Yeah, it was I only went up there once. I was on like a schoolboy team, and I'll never forget like the drills that Jose had us run through. It was like the same drills every day, but it was so much repetition, and it was just amazing how he broke it down into all these 8 little steps. And then if you did those perfectly, next thing you know, you're doing all these moves. So was he using that same kind of approach when you were going through it?
Yeah, it was always the same thing every time. When we would walk in, we would do the line drills, and then we would always do drills like finishes from high crotches, doubles, but it was always the same thing every day. And then we would wrestle for half an hour like live, and then when it got closer to the state series, we would drill for half an hour, and like we all had to like everything quick, like no one could really mess up because there was no time. And then we would wrestle live for an hour. So it was a lot of repetition, but I think like I still do them today at some, because you know it works. Like some people think like, oh, it's a little kid's move, but no, it still works today.
And so after you won the states in 2016 as a novice, did you wrestle again as a senior, as an 8th grader, or did you go on to bigger and better things at that point?
No, I wrestled. So I was in 6th grade in 2016 when I won state, and then the next year I was a senior, and I was in 7th grade, and I took 5th. So yeah, so then like yeah, I messed up that year. But then the next year, 8th grade year, I made it to the finals again. And sorry, I made it to the finals again in senior division, but I fell short against Alex Hagler. It was really sad because I think it went 5th, then 1st, then 5th, and hopefully it would have been 1st again, but I took 2nd. But yeah.
Pretty amazing though, even still. And so now you're going to high school at Wyoming Seminary. Talk about that program and how it's kind of like an elite club for girls all around the country. How does that work?
Well, I think Wyoming Seminary is great because when you get there, you really have to stay accountable of yourselves, because there's no parents, there's no one that is really on you all the time. So you may mess up like in the beginning. Like my freshman year, I would like stay up late and do my homework, and I did learn a lot my freshman year as far as how to manage my time. That's like one of the biggest things I think at SEM is time management, because we're so busy. Like we have school, then we have like check-ins if you're a boarder, then we have practice, then we have a lot of homework. So I think SEM just really helps you to be better like as a person at such a young age. And it really preps you for college, because I know like freshman year in college is pretty rough too, but luckily I'll be going into college knowing like all like what to do right and everything. But I also think with the wrestling, SEM exposes you to a lot of things as far as like we travel a lot, like to different countries, because there aren't many women's high school programs in the US. So we get to go like all over the world. Like I've been to Russia, Estonia, Sweden, Japan, Austria. Like I've been to a lot of places. Yeah. So
does your high school team go with you?
Yeah, it's all funded by SEM and USA Wrestling.
Wow.
So yeah, and so we wrestle a tournament and then we do a camp. Sometimes it's a week long or a few days or even like 2 weeks. And the teachers I think at SEM are super like they'll help you get your work done, and they're very supportive of everything. So I think we got a lot of support from some too, and we're like able to like grow as a wrestler and stuff.
My biggest question for people who go to boarding schools, because I always thought it'd be sick to go to Blair Academy, even though I had no idea what that meant as a young kid. I always like, man, how hard is it missing your family going away at such a young age? I mean, was it tough the first time you moved out there?
I think it was a little tough. I think the thing that helped me a lot was having my sister by my side. I didn't just go in alone. So we would talk to each other about like, you know, how much we missed our friends and family. But then we were so busy that we didn't have time to miss family, if that made sense. Like
for sure.
It wasn't too hard for me, I don't think. Because at home, like I don't even see, like my family, we don't hang out too much because, you know, we have school, then they have work and practices and stuff. So we've always been busy, but I think because we have so much to do at SEM that we don't have time to like, it kind of sounds weird, but like time to like miss family. But it's also nice when we have breaks, then we get to go home for like 2 weeks and we see our family, and then it's like all right, it's time to go back to SEM, I guess. So,
I was reading that Coach Vanderveer and you, she really helped you, as you said, with the weight management and the time control. But just explain, like, what's a typical day in the life for someone who's in that program? What time do you get up, and how does it all work?
Yeah. So on a weekday, I get up for 6 a.m. Coach sometimes opens the gym, and then we just get to roll around for an hour before school starts. And then, so after 6 a.m., then I just go to school from there. And school, we don't have the same classes every day. We have a schedule and it rotates around. So it's pretty convenient because of the amount of homework we get. So we can do it like different times. But I go to school and I go to my first 3 classes. And then if I have a free bell, which is like a study hall, I go back to my dorm and I sometimes do homework where I sleep because I'm tired. And then I go to class, and then I go to lunch, and lunch is about an hour long, and I just go back to my dorm and I eat my lunch up there. It's pretty convenient because I get to, like, if I want to, sleep again. And then I go to class, and after school I sometimes conference, and that's when you just talk to your teachers and ask for help and stuff. And like our coach wants to conference all the time, even if we don't need help with anything, just to, I don't know, like be there, I guess. But after conference, I go back to my dorm and I change and I get ready for practice. And usually practice is at 3:45 and school ends at 2:50. So we have like that little time. And then we practice for about from 3:45 to 5:30. And then dinner starts at, I think, 5:30. So we have to shower first before we go down to dinner because like it's pretty gross. So then we eat dinner, and we have to, even if we don't want to eat the dinner, we still have to check in because we're boarders, and the teachers just want to make sure that we're in the dorms. And so I eat dinner and then I go back and I just hang out with some friends sometimes. Like it's just kind of relaxing at that point. And dinner ends at like 6:45, and then all the boarders have mandatory study hall, and we just have to be back in our dorm room from 8 to 9:45. And
that's a day.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But that's when I do like a lot of my homework around that time, and it's kind of nice because it just, like, I'm not tempted to go hang out with friends or like go to the store or something. So yeah, we have that. And after study hall, we have from 9:45 to 10:30 to like go out again, like off campus. And then from 10:30 we have to be back in our dorm, but we don't have to be in our room. So and the girls and guys dorm is separate, so we can't go in either dorm. But yeah, and then usually I just stay in my room because people come to my room. But this year, like, it's restricted because of COVID. But then and then check-ins are at 11 o'clock. Like, we don't have to go and check in, but the dorm parents like check in to make sure that everyone's like in their room. And yeah, and then we go to bed. So I try to go to bed early, but I kind of go to bed at like 11:15. So it's not that bad because it's like 7 hours of sleep. So
Right.
yeah.
And so that's I mean, you're basically living the adult life as a high school junior, and you've been doing it for a couple of years.
Mhm.
And so when we talk about the wrestling, I mean, you've been rolling through people your age for years now. When you go overseas, do you get to wrestle with like the senior Russian women or the senior Japanese women? Do they allow you into those practices?
I think so when we have practices like during our camp, it's usually all like the teams that competed at the tournament, and it's our age group. I don't think that we've never really like trained with their senior athletes, but sometimes, so when we make the world team or national team, then we go to Sweden for cadets and juniors. And I've gone to Sweden ever since I was a freshman. And at that tournament, it's cadets, and then juniors and seniors are combined. And then after the tournament, we have a camp. And I always ask the USA coaches if I could go to the senior practices. So I train with them, usually just in Sweden. But it's really cool because I was able to see where I'm at, and I was pretty up there while I was a freshman. So
I was gonna ask you, it's like, do you ever get bored with the competition when you're not allowed to wrestle senior? I mean, just because of your skill level is incredible. I mean, compared to people your age. So is it a relief to finally get on that senior level? And are you going to be full time on this circuit, or will you still make a run at the junior worlds?
I think it's finally a relief because I always saw these girls like winning a ton of stuff, and I was like, oh, I could beat them, but I'm too young. One of the biggest statements I wanted to make at the trials, if I won, was like age doesn't matter. Like if you're at that level, then you can compete at whatever like level you want, no matter the age. And I was able, and I really wanted to be the youngest Olympian, but that didn't work out. But yeah, ever since I was a little girl, we would go to like these camps, and Coach Terry Steiner would invite me to these senior camps like when I was in 7th grade, and I was doing very, very well at them when we would go live with the seniors. And
in 7th grade.
Yeah.
Stop it. Oh my.
Yeah. So
what would they say? Like as a 7th grader going with the seniors, what would they say? They just keep at it, or?
Yeah, well, they were always impressed with my performance. The coaches were, so I was still like, I got invited to more. But sometimes it's hard to be young and then like in those practices because it's like they don't want to go with you because I don't know, they probably don't want to get beat by someone young, or like they think I would slack off. So it would be kind of tough in practice to get a partner, but coach would just put me with whoever. And I never studied the girls or knew anything, so I just went out there and I just like just wrestled. And they said like, wow, you beat blah blah blah, and I was like, oh really? I didn't know that. So yeah, I always thought like that I just always wished that I was able to wrestle these top athletes when I was younger, but finally I'm like able to, and now I get to compete at all these senior tournaments, and I'm just really excited. So
will you still wrestle at the junior worlds this summer, or are you gonna stick to senior? You are?
Yeah, I mean, like might as
well.
Yeah.
Let's get a couple world titles. I mean,
yeah.
So talk to me about a couple things I want to ask you about. When did you transition from Jose and Nathan to Izzy style, and like how did that all work?
I was always with Martinez ever since I was 9, like Coach Jose and Coach Nate. And then when I got to 7th and 8th grade, I was still with them, but I also went to Izzy style to like double up in practices and stuff because they kind of split. like Coach Jose and Coach Nate, and like some partners would go to one and then the other. And I didn't have many partners, so I would still go to practices with Coach Jose, but I would also go to Coach Izzy to like get those partners. But then when I got to high school is when I just stood with Coach Izzy, because he runs like the high school practices at Izzy style. And I was working freestyle all the time, so I was getting ready for Fargo and all these big events. And so I think 7th, 8th grade is when I transitioned into Izzy, and then I stuck with Izzy like during my high school years.
And it's pretty cool that before the trials, you came back to Chicago for a 2-month period for kind of like a training camp. And I understand, I read the article that just came out on you on Intermat. It sounds like you were doing like 2-a-days, leading up to it. I mean, talk about how motivating a coach Izzy style is. I mean, he can get anyone to do anything.
Yeah. So he's great. He's very passionate about the sport, and he always makes me like want to push myself. As far like his lectures are incredible, I think. And he doesn't basically really care if he hurts your feelings or anything. Like, you can't be soft with him. So I just wanted to do the best I could at the trial. So I trusted Izzy, and my parents trusted Izzy, and I'm glad that they did, because like I got this far with him, and only within like 2 months, like I did that amazing. So Izzy can really like, he sometimes gets like deep, and it just kind of makes me mad, but it motivates me. But I just laugh it off and smile and just work hard at practice instead. And Izzy's just been coaching very elite athletes. Like, he was with Tony Ramos for a while, and now he's with like a ton of UFC people, like Holly Holm and John
Jones.
Yeah. Oh God. So yeah, he was always just that top-notch coach, and I'm just so grateful to have him, especially since he's only like, his practice is only 15 minutes from my house. So it's just very convenient to have him as a coach, I think.
And it's cool to see him in the corner, and he's just a master motivator. And so it was awesome to see you guys working together, like anytime there was a break in the match. And so when you were leading up to the trials, you were doing 2-a-days. Were you guys wrestling hard, both of those, or what did your training look like?
So coach did like a mini camp, really. So I was doing practice for about a month, and then when I got to the second month, we cut it down to like 3 weeks. So I went really hard for about 2 weeks, and we did 2 practices. And Coach Hensley, he's an assistant coach with Coach Izzy. He would do the morning practices with me. And I was on spring break at the time, for the first week, and I would go in about 7 or 8 o'clock, and we would do conditioning, and we focused on a lot of hand fighting, because that's what a lot of these senior women do. Is like, that's pretty different from wrestling guys. Guys are more like, I don't know, they like try to just wrestle as far as like shoot. They attack a lot. And I wasn't used to hand fighting, so that's what we focused on. And then Izzy, like in the afternoon practices, I would do like the high school practice, and he would base it a lot off on me. Like, he would call me out every single practice. I just laughed it off, but it was kind of hard. But it was a lot of technical stuff as far as like finishes and sprawling and stuff. But what I needed help with, a lot of like the whole team did, so that was pretty convenient with just the practice in general. And then for the second week, and the whole time I did a ton of running. Izzy really emphasized how he wanted me to get out of my comfort zone, and one of the biggest things I don't like doing is running, so he would have me run like 3 to 5 miles every day. And I just got used to it at the point. Like, I didn't even care. I just would walk into practice early and then put on my shoes and run. Like, no one told me to do it. I just did. It was like second nature almost. But I think the second week we slowed it down a little bit as far as like morning practices, because I had school. So I would have to wake up about 4 o'clock in the morning to go in at for 5 a.m. And it was kind of hard because I had homework, so I didn't get much sleep, but I just tried to sleep throughout the day. And like the whole camp, I was pretty antisocial because I was just exhausted. And then the last week we really slowed it down. It was more weight management, and I didn't do morning practices for the last week because it was more on my own. So I ran on my own and I biked and I did like my jump roping and stuff. And then we left. So it was pretty nice. It was a good camp, but it was super hard. Like, as you would have like a line of guys, like I would have to be in my stance and they would just come at me and start like banging my head and being super aggressive. And as you would like yell at me to like, not fall over. And he thinks I flop is what he says. But yeah, it was a tough camp because these guys, like, wrestling with guys, they kind of have an ego because they don't want to lose to a girl, I guess. So it was like I really had to be there mentally.
Now let me ask you this. You said something earlier that's interesting. I don't know if that's your sister coming in the room or not, but it's all good. You said that the women hand fight more versus the guys. That I wouldn't even have thought of that. Like, did you notice that at the Last Chance or just watching film?
I noticed that I noticed it before like the whole like the Olympic trials thing. Like when I was eligible, so I've known it for a while. I just never really focused on it. I never liked hand fighting, so I shoot a lot on the outside. But like now I have to get used to hand fighting because especially with these like international girls, like Europeans and like the Russians and stuff, they always hand fight and they're very good with throws. So I did learn it at a pretty young age, like my freshman year when I went to SEM after I would travel the globe, and I realized it wasn't just the international girls, it was also the senior USA women athletes. So I was like I just never really focused on it, but I guess Izzy figured it out because I never told him, but he figured it out while watching film.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was definitely prepared for all of that.
And so before we get to the trials this year, we'll wind down with that. I got to ask you about 2019, because in 2019 you made it on the Cadet World team, and it looks like did you get hurt or did you wrestle at it? I was just curious on what happened at the 2019 Worlds.
Yeah, so at Worlds, my first match, it went pretty well. I teched her right away. And then I think it was just the second match I wrestled a girl from Sweden, and I had wrestled her that year at Sweden. It's called the Clip and Open. And it's like the second hardest international tournament before Worlds. So yeah, I had wrestled her and I banged my head like in the middle of the match. And I didn't really know what was going on. I can't remember exactly what happened during that match, but I was watching it, and I guess the trainer said that I didn't care that I had banged my head or anything, even though they said something, and I just kept wrestling. And then towards the end, I knocked out completely, and I guess I just laid there on the mat. Yeah, so it was pretty embarrassing, but I didn't know what was going on. But I got a concussion, so they pulled me out of the tournament. But it was really sad because I had a good chance at winning Worlds.
Yeah. I mean, what happened when you wrestled her at the other tournament?
I beat her like, I think it was by 8 points. I think it was like 12-10 or something. Okay. But it was almost a tech. But it was a good match. She's a world champ, so.
Oh wow. So
yeah.
So she's on the level, and it's pretty crazy that you had the concussion and then continued to wrestle and just
I don't know
from it. That's crazy. Yeah. That's the heart of a champion, and that's why we saw the performance we did last week. So let's get into the last 2 weeks a little bit. And so the Last Chance qualifier, you rolled through that and made it to the Olympic trials. Now, when you were finally in the Dickies Arena Friday morning when things started to happen. Like, what are you telling yourself, and what's your visualization or mindset like the morning of a big tournament?
Yeah, Friday, when I woke up, I was like, wow, this is actually real. Like, it's finally happening, because I knew, I think 3 weeks or 3 months before the Olympic trials that I was eligible and I could compete. And I just had that in my head, like, I really want to go to the trials and stuff, and I'm gonna do everything I can and everything right. And then, like, that Friday, I was like, wow, it's finally here. Like, I've been waiting for so long. And I wasn't nervous like one bit. And it was the weirdest feeling, because like every big tournament, like I still have a little nerves, like even if it was like Fargo or Tulsa Nationals or anything. But I was waiting for so long that I was just more excited than anything. And I was super pumped, and Coach Izzy was, and we were just happy to be there. And it was awesome weighing in and just seeing all these like super super good people. Like, I was like, wait, what? Like, I'm here. Like, it was really cool, and I couldn't, like, I'm trying to sink it in, but like I'm like at their caliber, and it's pretty hard. Like, I'm at Jordan Burroughs' caliber. Like, I'm at Dick's caliber. And it was just crazy, because like I was just always that little girl that just kept watching it on TV and just wishing that she was there, because she knew that she could beat those girls, and I was finally there. So I was just really happy, but I just kept like a resting face, just to, like, I don't know, not be intimidating, but just try to fit in. I didn't want to be like the fangirl or anything, because I was supposed to be there. Like, I made it there for a reason. So,
And that's
yeah.
what I read that you kept telling yourself that you belong there. Just because you're that young, you're a high school junior, but obviously your wrestling speaks for itself. I'll admit the first match where I was like kind of shocked was the Forrest Molinari match. But now doing the research for this interview and going back, I would say I shouldn't have been, because you've been rolling through people for a while. But that's a match where I think of Forrest has that aggressive style, kind of a bullying style, and nothing against her. She's been on the show. I like her a lot, but that's kind of her style, like the intimidator style. And did you have any changes of expectations or changes of thoughts going into that one, knowing you had someone who's going to come right at you?
Yeah, so I was always prepared for I was preparing for those 3 weeks for like these older girls that are going to try to do everything they can to win, like as far as like bang my head and stuff and be super aggressive, because again, no one really wants to lose to a younger girl. So I was already there mentally, but I don't know how I was feeling on the mat. Like, when we were waiting for the ref to come on the mat so we can shake hands, I was just smiling in my head, because like it was funny that I was just so calm, and I kind of felt her, not, I don't know if it was anger, but I just felt her presence, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be so fun, because I was prepared for all the banging and headbutting and stuff, and I was just gonna control the match and just wrestle my match. Like, I didn't really change anything, I don't think. I just went into the mindset that it's gonna be a dogfight. Like, nothing, like from now on, it's not gonna be easy anymore. Like, checking everyone like in 30 seconds or anything. And yeah, I think I was just ready, and I was just excited, and I was smiling inside of it. It was kind of funny, I think.
Yeah, you let it loose. The sweeps, the low singles, everything was working. And then Saturday night, you wrestled pound for pound, maybe the best woman in the country. Her and Tamara and Adeline Gray wrestled this past winter on the one of the flow cards, I believe. And I mean, both of those ladies, multiple. Tamara's just a one-time world champion, which is crazy, but she dominated last year, and Adeline, 5-time world champ. So you stepped up there, scored some points on Tamara, but I mean, even in your mind, you were full on expecting to win, which it's not surprising to hear, but it's just cool to hear that you have that confidence at such a young age.
I really wanted to be the youngest Olympian, and I did everything I could to train the best and everything. And I didn't go in there thinking like, oh, I'm nervous for this girl or anything. And I don't think I was nervous against Tamara either. I was just ready and I just wanted to wrestle, because I mean, Tamara has a huge target on her back and I was going after her. So yeah, when I did lose, I was pretty disappointed like the first match, because the one thing I did not want to do is get teched. Like I don't remember the last time I got teched. So when it was 12-4, I think, that kind of hurt me a little, but I had to like focus on the next match because best out of 3. But then when I lost the second match, it really hurt. But when I saw her tearing up, I was just, I don't know. I was happy for her, even though I lost, because she, like I bet she went through a lot too, like as much as me probably. As far as like the training for the past months even, and it like all paid off. So I just gave her a big hug because it was just awesome to see. I don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool because, in 2016 she made it, but then didn't qualify the weight. So that had to hurt big time. And for her to wait 5 more years and then be challenged like she was, I mean, it was probably a huge relief for her. And so afterwards, like, are you back in PA or are you still in Chicago? Like
I'm in Chicago.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what it was like going to high school amongst mere mortals when you had just come off like such a high adrenaline event, So will you even go to college, you think, or just go right to the OTC when you're done with high school?
I do want to go to college. I want to get a degree. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go to college. I'm still looking at all the colleges, like if I want to do NCAAs or be at an RTC. But yeah, I don't think I do want to go. I don't think I want to go to OTC. Because I want to focus on my academics too. Like that's very important to me. So yeah.
And then your sister Karina, she has also an incredible resume. Are you guys the same grade?
Yeah, we're in the same grade. We're
You are,
10
okay.
apart.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool that you have a training partner and like you said, someone to kind of go through all these things with you. You don't have to do them alone. Well, I am just really excited to have you on. I just have 3 kind of rapid fire questions and we'll wind down. Cool?
Yeah.
Cool. So I heard you say on another interview, you're a big Netflix watcher. Who isn't? What is a show you've been binging lately or have binged in the past?
Well, I did binge Grey's Anatomy. Like it took about 6 months because it was like it's 16 seasons, 25 episodes, and like 45-minute episodes. So yeah, I loved Grey's Anatomy. And then right now I'm currently watching Breaking Bad because
fantastic show.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm binge watching that too. It's really great. I do like being in the science and mathematical field. So yeah, this is just a great show, I think. It's really
awesome
cool.
show. Who is, outside of wrestling, who are some athletes that are like big role models to you that you looked up to as a kid?
I think Michael Jordan, his work ethic is like incredible. And I think I can compare, like I think him and I are kind of similar and with his past and everything. So I just wanted to be the best of the best and be better than the best because that's how he was. So yeah, he's really cool.
Have you watched The Last Dance on Netflix?
Yeah, with my dad and my mom, or my sister. Sorry.
Amazing, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. Everything that happened.
So last question, normally we ask people, how did wrestling change your life? But since you're so young, we'll ask that 30 years from now when there's documentaries on you and you've won all these medals. But, I would just ask you, what's one of your more favorite trips that you've taken or that you're looking forward to taking?
I think one of my favorites I've taken was Sweden because I was able to wrestle like the best like Europeans and the best seniors at that tournament. And I'm really looking forward to the Eureka because that's a tough tournament and I really want to wrestle in that tournament. So I'm excited for that.
You're going this next year?
I think I don't know if I can. I'm pretty sure I can. I think so.
Man,
Yeah.
that would be amazing. Wow, that's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So a bright future for Kennedy Blades. You're making Illinois proud. All of us, I can't tell how many people were texting me like IKWF this, Illinois that. It's great to see you out there making it happen. Congrats to Izzy on all the development, and I'm just a big fan, and I can't wait to watch your career, and I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, take care. Have a great one. And that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening to Wrestling Changed My Life, presented by Spartan Combat. To see video clips of this interview, go to Instagram at Wrestling Changed My Life or Twitter at Wrestling Changed My Life. We also have a YouTube channel, and all past episodes can be found at WrestlingChangeMyLife.com. Peace!